Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the Master Grade Deathscythe Hell Endless Waltz version special coding version provided to me by Site 7 Exports, your one-stop shop for Gundam Base, Gundam Factory, and P-Bandai stuff. Links down below. And from afar, this thing looks absolutely amazing. The mirror black finish, the metallic yellow, red, and gray, and the pearly white make this edgy looking machine stand out even more. However, I'm sure we all know about the one big weakness of coded kits, and since the Deathscythe wasn't designed with a special coding in mind, there is no undergating and only minor efforts to hide the nub marks. That being said, I have seen way worse offenders, and what I actually noticed the most were the inconsistencies in the coding itself. We've got quite a few streaks on the gray, some bumps on the black, and most noticeable of all, this fading on the feet where it's really obvious that the runner got in the way of the spray machine. Seam lines then are mostly well hidden with the exception of one giant one all along the backpack, which is also where the most nub marks are, but thankfully there is black underneath the black finish, so they managed to hide themselves in plain sight. Color accuracy then is 100% perfect, with us only requiring stickers for the eyes, main camera, back camera, and crotch sensor. And there is a good reason for that, because underneath all of those parts are clear parts, so you can paint them in whatever clear color you want. And as with every good master grade, we get a bunch of marking stickers on both a normal peel-off sticker sheet and a rub transfer sheet. So yeah, straight out of the box, it might not be the perfect shiny Deathscythe, but from afar, it still does a great job as eye candy for your collection. And on the inside, we also get some nice eye candy with that nicely detailed Gundam wing inner frame. And not only does it look great, but it also gives our Deathscythe some really good articulation, which we will have a closer look at in a second. But first, we're putting that shiny armor back on to check out his signature weapon. I'm of course talking about his beam scythe, the weapon that he was even named after, which for some reason is called the beam scissors now. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure scissors are supposed to have two blades, so I'm just going to keep calling this a scythe on principle. Either that or I'm going to be calling him Death Scissors. Anyways, back to the scythe with an identity crisis. Just as the rest of the model kit, this thing also has a special coating, which means that you can also see nub marks on it. In addition to that, it of course comes with a very nice green beam blade effect part. And then to hook it up to the Deathscythe, it uses those typical modern master grade modular hands. So we get these little parts here for both left and right hand, and they do have a peg in them. And on the scythe itself, we have room over the entire length of the scythe if it wants to focus. There we go. And believe me when I tell you that that scythe isn't going anywhere. And then combined with the posing capabilities of this thing, you can make some really cool pictures with that. Then if you want a little bit more freedom with your hands, you also have these option parts, which are also closed holding hands, but they don't come with a peg. So for example, they come in very handy if you want the Deathscythe to hold it over his shoulder, or if you want to put him in one of those iconic holding the scythe with both hands poses. And then for some more posing potential, we also get two open hand parts. And because it's the Deathscythe, that is actually already almost everything that he comes with. We also get an in-scale figure of Duo, and then a connector for an action base. So now let's have a look at the articulation of this thing. The head is on a hinge and ball joint combo, so it goes up a little bit, down nicely, rotates around all the way. Then the shoulders will go really far forwards all the way out like that. Then they will rotate around on that joint as well. Then it'll also go up on that joint, so our Deathscythe is actually perfectly capable of doing the final shooting pose if he had come with a beam rifle. Then the shoulders will of course also rotate around all the way, although you gotta be careful with those giant wings in the back. Then the arms will rotate around all the way, go up nicely like that, and will then go even further upwards with the shoulder joint, although again, you gotta be a little bit careful with those spiked shoulders that seemingly like to bump a lot of things. Then the elbows are double jointed, not too bad, and the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the whole backpack setup will go in and out a little bit. They will slowly extend on that point, giving it up and down movement, and then they will also extend slowly on that point, giving him forwards and backwards movement. And this is of course also going to be very useful for putting him in his armored mode. And then these red tips or fangs or whatever you want to call them also go in and out. The waist then is on a very nice double ball joint, giving it really good forwards and backwards movement, and also some nice side-to-side movement, in addition to of course the usual rotation. And then, as with every master grade, we have an openable cockpit with the tiny pilot inside. The front skirts are very well articulated. They're on a ball joint and on a extra hinge joint, allowing the legs to go nicely forwards all the way like that. Then the back skirts are just on a single ball joint, so they go nicely backwards, allowing the legs also some pretty far backwards movement. But the real limiting factor here are those bat wings and not the actual back skirt itself, which isn't something that happens very often with mobile suits. Then the side skirts are also on ball joints, allowing the legs to go nicely outwards, and they'll go even further if we move that side skirt out of the way a little bit more. The legs will rotate around all the way, bend at the knee on two joints, and we've got some pretty interesting things going on because as you can see, we've got a sliding panel there, but none of the armor parts are attached to it, so that doesn't really do anything. But on the knee, we do have a little bit of armor separation going on with that thing. Then the feet are also nicely articulated. We've got a double ball joint for a little bit forwards and backwards movement, nice side to side movement, and then they'll rotate around all the way. We also have a toe joint, and then we have an additional tiny joint right there for the spikes on the toes. So yeah, sufficient to say, the Deathscythe Hell can take basically any pose you'd want him to take. And then the final thing to show off is of course how to close that active cloak of his. First up, you simply close these fangs, extend both wings, extend the shoulder armor, close the wings, slide to lock them together, give up because it just doesn't want to stay together, and then lower the shoulder armor spikes. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, it is what it is. This model kit is a nice representation of the Endless Waltz version of the Deathscythe Hell. It's got the looks, it's got the articulation, and it's got the accessories. And this special coating version then adds an adequately done finish to it to make it look absolutely stunning on your shelf. So while it might not be perfect either as a model kit or as a special coating version, if you're looking for a badass black machine or a flagship for your Gundam Wing collection, this thing is definitely worth considering. On to the size comparisons then. First of all, here he is next to some other Kotoki machines, the Wing Zero and my favorite version of the RX-78-2. Next up are the Goof and the Dom, to show you just how small and slender the wing designs really are. And then finally, here it is next to the standard-sized high-grade Gym Custom and the usually bulky high-grade Zaku 3. And if we discount those bat wings, the Zaku 3 isn't even outclassed that badly, especially when we consider the scale difference. But that's all for this review of this very shiny Bat Gundam, provided to me by Site 7 Exports. Again, links down below. And as always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.